I want to reach certain goals, just like peace within my mindset.
That's still growth. It might not be the growth that you wanted or planned for, but that's still growth.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Mixed Realities TV. It's been 2 weeks.
Yep.
And
Yep. Same. It's good. It's the same tune. We have been very busy.
yeah.
We've had some life updates, which is causing us to be a little more busier. But
Life been life, and it's okay.
yeah.
We what? It's about to be. We've lived here for a year in Ellijay. That was a big.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, it was a year. That was a big surprise when I saw the reminder on my phone. Kind of surreal. A year goes by so fast. Years mean like
It doesn't. It
nothing. It doesn't. So years are interesting, like the time concept of years. Anyway, but
because you feel like we've been here for so long. I feel like time in general. Like I've always been the person I almost think the opposite, where people's like, "Wow, that went by fast." Like yes, it went by fast, but then for me, whenever I have that feeling and you dissect like what happened since, like you're having that aha moment, that time went fast. I always realize like, oh wait, I did so much during that time that it actually didn't go by fast. I'm just,
that's like how we feel about our relationship.
Yes, it's just like I'm right now choosing to like realize how much time has passed.
Yeah.
If you live in the moment, like you kind of you see the time moving a little faster or slower. If that makes sense.
Anyway, we're excited. Spring's upon us. If we get through this rain, I think we'll have some beautiful days here.
Yeah. But that actually kind of goes into one of my first topics that I wanted to talk about plan for the future, but live in the moment.
Yeah, this podcast, we're just gonna freaking talk half.
Yeah, we're not talking about headline news on this time because we didn't look at the headlines or whatnot. And I've been listening to news. I listen and read news every day, but today we're just gonna kind of make it about us. Maybe instill some wisdom into the people, but
see if you can gain anything from that or not. But
the reason why I wanted to bring that up was because when we talked about us being here for a year, the original thought was like, oh, it went by so fast, but really, it didn't. For me, it did not. Like,
I feel like we've done a lot.
We've done so much in a year. Met so many people, changed so many things about our personal lives, like health, that I feel like it just would, like I said, when you realize it's been a year, in that moment, it feels like it went by fast. But then once you start dissecting, if you're continuously kind of pushing forward, accomplishing small goals, because like, even though sometimes your goals, you might not have reached them all every year, as long as you're making some progress, like let's say you only got 50% through your goals, you still knocked out 50% of your goals. That's still growth. It might not be the growth that you wanted or planned for, but that's still growth. And that's kind of how this year has been. Like normally, like I get all my goals. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess this year technically is just this is like the first quarter, so that's probably why I'm feeling that way. But there's a lot of goals that I feel like last year going into this year that I kind of got like hit a lot of them, but then some of them that I kind of missed the target on. But
and I feel like we were a lot more like intentional and present with our time with this year. So I feel like it went by fast once I realized it was a year, but like to be in the midst of it day to day, I feel like we were very much more intentional with our relationship. Yeah, how we live.
Well, we did that 3-month challenge, and it's weird because like everyone has like their New Year resolution, but it's like I almost started my year when we moved here, so that's like that's why we did. That's so yeah, that's kind of probably why,
because we went on that huge challenge. Yeah, I mean, life was crazy when we first moved here. We moved here because we didn't know where we wanted to live, and we ended up staying. So that was a big, just saying a bunch of yes to everything, yes to making the move or the trip down here to see if we liked it, yes to staying, yes to challenges, just like all these growing aspects. We lived in a treehouse for
it's not a treehouse, but in the woods.
In the woods.
But it is kind of weird because like I said, I grew up coming here and it just feels weird. But also we've talked about this on other podcasts. Like this area has grown a lot. So there's a lot more stuff to do here now that wasn't here when I was a kid. So, but kind of staying on that thing, like, what's one goal that you would that you're aiming for by the end of this actual year, New Year's, that you're on target of hitting or not on target and you want to improve?
Was that a long pause? Did that last more than 2 seconds?
Yeah.
I have it in my head. I just didn't know how to phrase it. Just continuing the work on my mental health. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like I was so good for probably like 9 months, and then like a couple weeks in a month, you feel like you've lost so much progress, and you really haven't. You could just like fall back in a certain pattern in your mindset, can roll back into a negative pattern. And that can last for like 2 weeks, but you feel like you're so behind once you get, like you've been uphill this whole time and then you hit a flat line and it feels like you're behind, but I'm really not behind. I just got to keep sticking to it because I want to reach certain goals of just like peace within my mindset and how I live my day-to-day life. I feel like when we first moved here, I was just in the midst of like getting over a bunch of stuff that I was trying to work through in Jacksonville and becoming like a better person, like for me, to myself. And then I got off track for a little while. So that's kind of like my, not career or anything. That's like my main goal in life and in anything, just to keep making my mental health stronger.
No, yeah. So like that's kind of.
And that just like also goes to just like sticking to, I guess, a certain routine that I know benefits and helps my brain and my emotions and my feelings day to day. Like meditating, working out, sitting, writing, doing certain things that I know makes me feel better, keeps my mind not on a freaking, whatever they're called, rat wheel.
One of my things that I wanted to work on this year, it's kind of like narrow in the things and only do things that I feel like passionate about, not completely, but focus more on myself in the sense of like learning, like saying no to people, or like, you know, people who will come into your life. Well, maybe it's just me because I create stuff all the time and they'll see something that I post on Instagram, mainly my stories, and then reach out to me to like work on a project or something like that. Or they will, you know,
ask for help,
or just, you know, this year, like I told myself, like the projects that I was working on with people that aren't moving places, or I'm just going to, instead of being that, always that thing that drives that project forward, and I'm not going to be that, because when you're being the sole, I guess, leader of all these projects, you're not going to be able to.
You're swamped.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to like put all your effort into it. And so if the other people you're working with aren't putting that same effort into it, then it's just going to fail. And then this year I focused in on a few things, and the rest that I was, I'm not putting all my energy into. I'm allowing the people that are also working on those projects take more responsibilities, and some of them are completely failing, and some are moving a little bit forward because those projects needed that. Because I feel like some people, it's like a group project. Some people just get comfortable with you doing everything.
Yeah.
And then sooner or later, you can't be the one doing all those.
Can't be nice all the time.
Especially since when I own a business. So like if I'm doing side projects, those are that's time that's taking me out of focusing in on my business. So this year I also I'm getting rid of all the clients that were headaches. I'm getting rid of all the projects that I don't want to work on anymore. But when you start hiring people and whatnot, and then you almost want to take on clients so you can pay them more. But this year I'm focusing in kind of repivoting the business to find it kind of more have a purpose. Which I didn't put this down, but like I feel like once you have a business and it's somewhat successful, it needs to have a purpose for it to keep growing. Because if you don't have a purpose behind it, then what's literally the purpose of continuing to grow?
Yeah.
You know, like, so that's like something that I've been really thinking about as we like make this switch from, offering a full stack marketing agency to really just on the content side.
Yeah.
And then plus I've also started working at another agency doing as a content and social media strategist. So that's working with that agency and all the people on that team is amazing so far.
Yeah.
It's called Creators Collective. So if you want to check them out, but that's working with them, and then, just focusing in on the stuff that I want to do with my business. I kind of like it because when I started my business 4 or 5 years ago, it was like not, it was just me and my brother.
Yeah.
At one point, we had like 6, 7 people, and then the whole dynamic of that changes. And so taking it back to where the roots of like finding what I really want to kind of mold it into, because I also want to kind of starting to think about like how do we build a community, and so how do we tie what we're doing here into the business,
things that you want to do.
Yeah, and like
factors.
I want to tie what we're doing here into potentially what we do, so it's like all connected. So if I'm working on the podcast, because then if I'm working on the podcast, it's working towards the business as well. And
so I feel like it's fair to say we're really both in a state of just figuring out what we really enjoy doing day to day and doing it, and like no other excuses, basically. We're getting at that point in our relationship we feel the same, doing things that only matter to us, that only benefit us, not hearing outside noise, all that good stuff. So yeah, so far so good.
Yeah, and like I said, I feel like you just got to figure out what you enjoy doing. And I think this is one thing that people don't realize when you do own a business is it's not eventually not going to be all like passion or what you do. So that's why if you have, you sometimes your passion for something might drain out a little bit because you have to do some business oriented stuff that's might be a little off your passion. But then if you have that purpose, that's what will drive you to do.
But I mean, life is just constantly reinventing and reinventing and reinventing, like starting over and starting over, just like your personal life, your work life. I was going through that the other day, just like feeling like you just shed the old being that you used to, the important things you used to care about, the important things that you used to put up with. Like those all change, your feelings can change. Your goals can change within 6 months, and it's time to pivot. Don't be afraid to pivot at all times. Like any point necessary, move out of your community. If you don't like community, you just like pivot and go with it. Because good things happen when change happens. But some people don't like change, change is hard, but to trust in the universe to guide you and not settle for, anything but what you enjoy doing day to day is like takes balls. So keep going. Yeah,
and I feel like people sometimes like change, like kind of think of a pivot as failure. Like a pivot is not failure. Like just because sometimes you have to like deconstruct things because you might have just built it slightly off the first time you built it, so you needed to deconstruct it and kind of figure out, okay, when I got to this, things didn't work. So how do I get back to that level in a different way? And sometimes that means going back and just slowly not starting over, but like literally laying that foundation again, figuring out the purpose, figuring out your passion, what lines within a passion and a purpose. And that's kind of like, I would say I do have clients right now, but it's not like where I need to hire 5, 6 people again, I could do... not most. I have Hudson, and but that's about it right now. But I guess another thing that I wanted to bring up. Oh wait, no, we did cover the small growth equals growth. I kind of talked about that.
No, we just kind of split in there. Yeah. Well, I mean, like it's just so simple, but also I feel like it gets more. You understand and accept it more as you get older. Because when you're younger, when you start an idea, or maybe not for you, but when you're younger, you're kind of like, okay, I didn't reach my goal, now what? Instead of like, oh, I didn't reach my goal, but I can use this mindset to get somewhere else. Like, you can't get to B without going through A, right? So it's like, I feel like the concept of failing and getting better, and it's just like a freaking spin wheel, whatever it's called. What is that freaking called? I keep trying to reference that.
Hamster wheel?
Hamster wheel. It's a hamster wheel. It's a hamster wheel. It's just a freaking hamster wheel. Until you figure it out.
Yeah, and the kind of, I think I already mentioned it, but you learning the power of no. I want to do a whole video about this. Eventually, I will do like a whole segment about like how I started saying no and how it's changed like this year. But literally, the power of just saying no to projects, no to, you know, like going out, no to like just saying no to
family. Saying no for me, I've had to say no a lot. Work, saying no to work. You know what I mean? Just like saying no. That's a big one. I feel like I could rattle a damn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm eventually, because I don't want to dissect because it's only been, like I said, maybe 4 months. I made that the no one actually when the new year started. So it's only been like 4 months. Actually, no, I did it when we moved here because
Did what?
use the goal of the power, like saying
Oh, the power of notes. Yeah.
because I had just literally, it just seems like every time
Oh, it was hard for you, yeah.
I feel like every time things start rolling, when my whether it's my business or I just start posting content that I like, I feel like positive energy attracts people, and so when you're doing something positive for yourself, you're going to bring in, and some of those people, like 90% of the people are like they're not doing it out of ill will, but like because like I get random ideas to go work with some people, but then I'm like, wait, I can't do all of these ideas.
But sometimes, like, saying no is also about being selfish. Like, being selfish is not a bad thing. You need to be selfish. Like, you cannot get through life without being selfish, at least at some point. Whether it's, like, personal, family, or work, or just not giving so many people access to you. Like, you need your space. You need your time to do what you want to do. Saying no and having personal space and boundaries, that's never a bad thing. If anybody ever thinks it's a bad thing, they're not your friend. You need those boundaries. You need those boundaries to grow. You need those boundaries to think, figure out what you want to do. Saying no and being selfish is so good for you.
Like I hate the people that just like randomly text you and like, hey, I need like, can you help? What's your thoughts on this? And then they expect like a big reply. Like I get it.
Well, there's always going to be yes mans and people that they're always going to think they're going to be yes mans. Even if people reach out to you just out of a whim, like yes or no, they always want a yes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can have so many people reach out to you, but like, what's really worth your time? And that's kind of,
and then also
with like family and relationships as well. You can have a lot of people reach out to you, but what's really worth your time and energy to like dive into and really connect with people?
Exactly. And then like you post, and then like I started posting, which I have like 6 more pieces of content to post, but I kind of stopped those marketing videos.
Yeah.
Once I post that, I had like 5-6 people that are friends and whatnot reach out to me. I picked one of those 5 people to actually like reply to and actually like talk to, and then connected him. Shout out to Gary, to Hudson. So they're now working together. But like I said, when you start like just moving, when you start doing progress on yourself, that attracts people, positive energy.
Also, saying no isn't easy. I'm not just because I'm saying you should do it. It's not easy saying no, at least for some things. You can fight within your head or go back and forth on a subject like so many times in order to say no. But it's really just about having gut and just knowing what will benefit you in the end and not just trying to be nice just for the fuck of it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because like I'm the type of person where like I get obsessive over stuff. So if I'm going to help someone, like I am going to go 100% for that. Like, so for instance, me helping Gary, hopped on 2 calls with him, brainstormed him, helped him gave him like a list of things that he could do, and then connect him with Hudson. If I put all that energy to all the people that reached out, then that's like a week of work almost. Or like, no, yeah, I guess if I did that once a day, but like.
And also, that's another thing, saying no, saying yes to certain things will get you behind in your personal life. And once you realize things that you need to say no and yes to, it makes life so much easier.
Yeah. And
say no. Sorry.
So the next section is questions that we found or Lexi found on Reddit.
Hey.
Yeah, these are the questions you sent me.
Oh.
So the first one, if you could redesign the education system from scratch, what would it look like and how would it foster creativity and innovation in students? Okay, you coughed right. Let me restate the section. For editing purposes, if you could redesign the education system from scratch, what would it look like, and how would it foster creativity and innovation in students?
Honestly, what comes to my mind as soon as I read that question was taking astrology, and outdoor ed when I was in school. Because I hated, like, school. School was fine. I liked sports. I liked people, all that good stuff. But the fact you go and sit in a building for that long and you don't learn skills that will actually help you in your life is kind of mind-boggling. And so the reason why I liked outdoor ed and astrology, because you came for outdoor ed, they taught you about fishing. You were outside. You took field trips. You were hands-on making things.
You learned fishing in your outdoor education?
All those random things.
Mine was like sports.
And then when I took the science class, it was mandatory for you to get up in the morning and before everyone got to school at dark and go look at the stars because you were studying the stars. So like things that actually made you go outside and use your brain to figure out life made sense to me. But like sitting in a building for that long didn't make any sense to me. So I feel like that would be the first thing I chop away. Somehow get the kids outside, or just shorten school in the building for like 3 days, 3 days a week, and then like have outside class or something that gets people outside learning about farming, all the good stuff. What about you? What's the first one?
I would make it more self-selective and career-oriented. So like kids could like pick different industries, whether it's like arts or it could be computer science or it could be architecture, and like allow kids to pick half of their schedule, like to be like have half their schedule be the basics, history, basic math. I'll take off some of the complex math and some of the complex sciences and replace those with just allow the kids and their parents to pick different industries for them to test in. Because I think the problem with college now and people going into debt, I had so many friends that went to college taking out student loans and then they decide to change majors. So then that adds an extra year at school. Then so they have to take out more student loans. So if you allow kids from a younger age enjoy learning what they find, like going back to finding your passion and purpose, allowing them to learn about different careers, learn about different industries from a younger age so they could find that passion and that career they want to take on at an early age, then they won't have to experiment with going to college if they don't need to go to college. And I just saw a statistic, I think it was from Breaking Points, is like Gen Z is, the amount of Gen Zers going to college is actually less than any other generation, and a lot of them are going to trade schools. And so I think that's just showing you that the education system, the public education system needs to be changed. And so if we just literally, and then also dialing back the amount of maybe like hours you're in class, and then maybe having it, I wouldn't say all year around, but like we were just talking about, I'm like, why is there summer where it's 2 weeks? What if instead of it being 5 days a week go to school, kids go to school for 3 or 4 days a week, or if it's 5 days a week, the hours are like this days half as long, and then allow them to, maybe have connections to sports programs.
Even like, when you're in high school, how you had early release and you
like
work.
Wednesday or something.
Yeah, but if you're a senior, you could go work.
Yeah, like
I feel like that could be. Class. Yeah, I feel like that could be offered to the entire high school.
Yeah, but then some people. Well,
but for real things, not like, I'm going to go work at McDonald's. I'm going to go shadow videographer, like something like that. That's like.
Or I feel like they should just have that within the school itself. Yeah. Like, take it. I hate to say it, but like make some of these, because like I never am using Algebra 2 in my daily life.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't need to be a year-long class. Like I understand the purpose of learning math and whatnot, but maybe that's, you put the advanced maths in areas where that like people who have the desire to go to doing engineering, those type of career paths, they take those classes, while the other ones, they could take more, arts related classes or something that just, or entrepreneurial classes, like starting businesses.
Yeah.
Like, I feel
taxes.
I don't know. Finance classes.
Yeah, finance classes. They're not all the people that go throughout high school and freaking the entire grade school and don't know how to talk about finance or do their finances. Me, I mean, I was never taught that, like, at home, and then, or at school. You kind of just freaking learn about it, piece together information.
I learned about it in fifth grade. You remember, like, fifth grade, your career?
Yeah.
The teacher had, like, at least my fifth grade, they taught you how to do checks and whatnot. And then there was something called Heritage Village. I think that's what it's called.
Oh, you could go. I remember having a bank account at like Wells Fargo or something that you could deposit coins at. But like that was like nothing. All I told you was like collect your pennies and go.
No, so mine
put it into the bank.
It was a field trip where you went to this place, and before you went, your teacher gave everyone jobs, and so you worked at that place as a fake job, and you got paid fake money.
Yeah,
you could buy fake. Not, I guess you could buy real stuff. It was like an arcade.
That was your field trip?
In fifth grade, it's called like Heritage Village or something like that. I don't know, remember. I don't think it was Heritage Village, but something like that. But next one from Reddit. What do you think is the key to maintaining a strong emotional connection in a long-term relationship? I think it's just spending time with each other, like actually spending time with each other, like going out to dinner every once in a while, like treating it, because I feel like there's in a relationship sometimes you stop going on dates or you stop doing certain things. That's like one thing that we've like been trying to do is like going out to dinner, just going out and doing stuff, because I feel like if you just stop and stay in all the time, you do start feeling I wouldn't say taking each other for granted, but just, it doesn't even have to be expensive though.
Yeah, it goes through like especially if you live together, I feel like it's completely different, honestly. Because you don't want to start acting like roommates, and I feel like we make it very apparent for us to not start acting like roommates. Be intentional with your dates, what you're doing, your work time, when to not bother each other. Be very intentional when you are spending time with each other, not having your phone out, doing things you both enjoy. If that's like y'all's time, don't pick something that one person likes and the other person doesn't, so one person's just sitting off in the corner doing nothing. Just being intentional with time and effort, being vocal about what you're liking, what you're not liking, and I guess doing that all the freaking time. Just don't settle. Like, always date each other.
Yeah, and just have
24/7.
So
honestly, like, I feel like we're a perfect couple. I feel like most of our problems come from other things.
I feel like the only time we fight is when we get like we drink, and then we get in like nitpicky arguments when we drunk. But then that's literally the only time when we fight.
Yeah, we don't fight that much.
Or sometimes she gets annoyed at like a joke I said or making fun of her. But I don't think that. But those never really turn into fights. It just turns into you going upstairs and not talking to me for a little bit.
I mean, sometimes he needs space. He's a little crazy.
I just know you're the one that needs the space. You're the one that's going upstairs.
Yeah. I need a lot of space. That's another thing. I need so much space.
Yeah, she needs space. Space.
I think you should know if your partner needs space and not when your partner's trying to neglect you.
Yeah, because I get over stuff super, super easy. And I think we've talked about this before on the podcast. But you need that space, that time. Where like mine, I can just easily, like we just got in a fight and then I could be joking within like 5 minutes of the fight.
Like 2.5 minutes.
Well, that's normally how I try ending the fight, is with jokes.
Yeah.
Last but not least, how do you define love, and do you think our relationship embodies the definition?
Oh, I forgot I put that in there.
Dang, that's a deep question.
Come on, repeat yourself. What did it say?
How do you define love, and do you think our relationship embodies that definition? Yeah, I think so. I think I just define love as like... Sorry, I just heard our dog off screen do it. Yeah, he did it. How I define love is I feel like it's just being unconditionally like attached to something, like just always like having them in your mind, and like every decision that you make, you have like a little thought process about like how it affects them. How do you, and then they also like, you kind of start thinking of like how your life with them for long, like your whole life. And that's kind of like every person that I love, I think about them and how we're going to live and enjoy each other's lives for the rest of our lives. But I think, yeah, this love is just always, to me, just having a connection to someone like that. Always, every decision you make, that they are somewhat within that decision.
Yeah. Love is so freeing. It's just like, I can't go on a rant about love, but yeah, I agree
You're
with
the one that wrote this question.
Really?
Or that wrote it, found it.
Yeah. I didn't remember putting that in there. I don't know. Love is weird.
That was a pretty deep one.
That
That
was
from the past two. I guess the other two are pretty deep.
I don't know. Love is weird, and I never thought I would experience a love so loving like this before. And I think, I don't know, I think it's just about finding your person and being devoted to them for however long you feel the need to be devoted to them, thinking about their needs all the time, what they're doing, where they're eating. Okay. But no, I agree. You pretty much said everything that needed to be said.
Because like love, it's a
Love
feeling.
it's a weird feeling to describe sometimes, because I feel like you just kind of exist with another person, and like a fairy tale, it just works.
Yeah, like someone you love, you think about them probably every day if you truly love them. And like I said, every time you make a decision, you kind of think about like, how does this affect them? And look out. He's just creepy. Odin's, if you haven't seen a picture of him, he's black, he's brindle, but he's very black, and right now he's in the shadows.
Black and bake.
You can just see his eyes just out of the shadows looking at us like, why aren't you petting me? Getting me out of my room.
He's a very needy and loving dog.
Yeah.
Speaking about love.
He's a very, very, very...
I don't know, but I feel like if I had to talk about love, I'd probably go on for like an hour.
Maybe that's a bit...
Talk about
a single segment.
I probably might even cry. This one's great. It's cool to be in love. I've always wanted to be in love. Like, I always envisioned being in love exactly how it feels. So I'm glad I wasn't wrong. Like, I always had the utmost, like, I held, like, when I was going to be, like, fall in love, it's going to be...
me.
Anyway, I was like, when I was going to fall in love, I was going to be, like, like, butterflies all the time, you know, freaking glitter in your eye, you know, all the good freaking fairy tale things. And it's so far so good, so...
Well, I think that ends this week's podcast.
Anyway, big things coming up. We're going on a cruise for my birthday. I don't know if we said that.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so we're kind of starting, but we're kind of starting another mini challenge. So we might post updates on that, depending on how deep we get into that.
Yeah.
As well. Anyway, love you. Bye.